Hey y'all, welcome back. It's Amanda with Molly Cole Creations. We are back today with some fun new Halloween inspired DIYs. I have joined a What Would You Make open playlist this month. Hosting is Connie with Wood Shop and DIYs, Brenda with Rustic and Lace, and their guest host is Monica with Up All Night. I do want to thank these ladies for hosting this month's playlist. Definitely check out the playlist below that I have linked for you in the description box. Many creators will be joining this playlist, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's get started. All right, project number one. This is a blank sign. I bought it years and years ago. It came from Joann's. I just looked at the tag. I had originally put vinyl on it for like a hot chocolate bar sale for an event that we did. The vinyl was old. It was kind of peeling off, so I went ahead and peeled the rest of it off, sanded it down, and gave this a good few coats. It did take, I think, I want to say 3 coats of white paint, but I just really liked the shape of it. And I pulled this design off of the gal that I spoke about before. I used a couple of her cut files in another video, and while I was looking around, I found this one, and I thought it was so cute. I just loved it. And her name is Whitney from Whiskey and Wit. If you sign up for her blog, I think that's what she calls it, or her website, she does provide free cut files, and she's amazing. She has awesome videos. I'm sure you all are very familiar with her. Anyhow, that's where this came from. I cut it on my Cricut. I sized it up to fit within this sign perfectly so that I wouldn't have to do a whole lot of measuring. I pulled out some transfer tape. I didn't have a piece quite big enough, so I just kind of pieced it together. I had a piece almost big enough that I didn't want to waste. So that's what I used. We're going to get this applied, and then we are going to go ahead and stencil everything in black. And it is, I believe, a full cart. I'm going to use a sponge brush. That's just a little piece. I forgot that when I was transferring it, that little piece didn't come off. So I'm putting that back where it belongs, and then we're going to get to our stencil. And we're just going to dab on this black chalk paint to make ourselves this really cute hocus pocus little sign for Halloween. And it's so cute, and I love hocus pocus. Loved it as a kid. Loved the second one. I guess you either love it or hate it, but it's definitely one of our favorites every season, and I can't wait to watch those movies again. Anyhow, we're going to remove that stencil vinyl, and it is a little bit messy the way it comes up, so I'm really trying to, and the paint is still wet. I'm removing it when it is still wet, so I'm just really trying to be super careful not to drag any of that wet vinyl along the frame, but look how good this turns out. I'm just grabbing the little pieces from inside the letters. Hocus Pocus, Apothecary, Smells, what does it say? Oh, Spells, Elixirs, Tonics, and Balms. Okay. I need to make myself some, like, bottles. Like, you know how people make all those potion bottles? That would be fun. Anyhow, this is where we end up, and it looks so good. I am just adding a little bit of a dry brush along that white frame just to darken that up a bit and give it just a little bit of interest, but I'm not being heavy-handed with it, just very lightly going around that white frame. And I think this is so cute. What do y'all think? moving on to project number 2, we are making, as you can see, some little cats. I cut these cats with my saw, a jigsaw. I used a miter saw and a jigsaw to do the ears. And we used, I believe these are 2x4s. They're a little bit thicker. And I'm painting them. I did them. I just cut 2 for now. I did one a little bit bigger and a little bit smaller. I was using scrap wood, so I just kind of made them the size that I could. We gave them both a good coat of the black paint. I did sand them really good, and I'm using this little round sponge brush to put the cat's eyes on here, and that just could not be any easier, right? And then I'm using some raffia. I have just a little Ziploc bag full of raffia, and I kind of just jumbled it up and tied myself a little bow, and I'm gonna hot glue on the little raffia there. You could make whiskers or like a mouth or a nose, or you know, you could really doll these little cats up, but I'm keeping it simple. All of these projects in this video today are keeping it simple, quick and easy and inexpensive. We're going to do the same thing with this little bit of a bigger cat, and the paint on the sponge was a little bit more, there's a little bit more paint on it, so the eyes did turn out a little bit different on this one, but I was kind of okay with that. I thought it gave them both just a little bit of character, made them look each just a little bit different. Again, I tied myself just a little raffia bow and trimming it down, and I'm gonna do the same thing and hot glue this little bow right onto our kitty cat. And these are so adorable. I've actually been waiting to make these, and now's the time. And I love them. I think they're so cute. They're gonna look so cute in my booth or up on my shelf if I keep them. We'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna sell them or keep them yet, but either way, they're just adorable. All right, we will call this project number 3. These are a bunch of, well, there's 4. Just kind of leftover pieces from other things I had cut. So they're just little minis, and I just want to make use out of them. There's no sense in them just sitting around, taking up space, potentially getting ruined if they sat outside, but I'm going to do one in orange, white, black, and then I stained one as well. Like I said, they are just little minis, and I intend them to be used for like a tiered tray or just some shelf sitters. Just anywhere, you know, they could sit on like a cute little riser. These are so simple, so inexpensive, and take no time at all to make. Now for the orange one, I did paint some white stripes on it. Right now they are covered with tape. I wasn't sure I liked it, but I kind of went with it. Then I decided to add some black stripes. So I'm just kind of going with like an orange, white, and black little block here. Then I found just a really simple, cute design in Cricut Design Space, just says Boo, and we're going to stencil the word right on there in black chalk paint. And basically that's similar, you know, what we're going to do to all of them. And think how many of these you could make with just one 1x4, which only costs a few dollars, maybe $3, $4, depending on your area. And you could sell each of these for $3, $4, or $5 a piece, depending on your area. Again, so let's get our little boo stenciled on, and then we will move on to the other two. The other two, let's see, I did a little ghost for the black one, and I did some bats for the white one. And these designs all just came within Cricut Design Space. Now, I do pay for Cricut Access, like a monthly subscription or whatever. So that does enable me to get some things that you maybe couldn't get otherwise through Cricut. I don't know. I never pay too much attention to what would have been free if I wasn't a member or what isn't. But there are some free options as far as fonts and images go. However, it is not necessary to even have this. I could have found a ghost on Google or on Canva and uploaded it. I could have found the word boo. I could have found the bats. Having Cricut Design Space is not a necessity to use your Cricut. If you don't want to pay, I believe it's like maybe $10, $11 a month. I'm not even sure. I've had it so long. But if it's not worth it to you, if it's not something you use often enough, it is definitely not necessary. And I'm not here to even like sell you on a Cricut. It's just what I use. So there is our cute little ghost, and this one I just kind of grouped a few bats together, and I am loving the bats and the ghosts. They're really fun this year. I don't know. Halloween's fun every year. Come on. I know some people hate Halloween. I do not. I think Halloween is fun. Although I am not like a scary Halloween person. I don't watch scary movies. I don't like haunted houses. Like, I don't like to be startled. So, yeah. I don't go to haunted houses. I don't watch scary movies. But I do love the fun time of year that Halloween brings us, especially when you got little kiddos around, because it is such a blast. We need to start thinking about Halloween costumes. But anyways, this little white one is done. We'll just peel that one off, and we have the orange one left. I put a pumpkin on it. Is that what I did? No, the stained one. I put an orange pumpkin. Okay, I didn't record that, or I lost it. That's okay. It's the same as what I've been doing with all of these, and you'll see it at the end. Yeah, so for the one that we stained, I stenciled on an orange pumpkin. Where that went, I don't know. But these are how they look. This is how it looks. See how simple, easy, cute. They can go anywhere. They can fit on anything. So adorable. All right, let's move on to these. We are going to make some witch hats. Again, I don't have measurements for you because I was using just kind of what I had left. I was just making them as large as I could, basically with the little wood that I had left on this board. This is a 1x8. I cut some triangles with the miter saw. Super simple. And then I picked up a little base from the Dollar Tree, one of their wood oval, I don't know even what they call them. And they only had one. So I used it to trace a piece of wood, and I cut a round shape out of with my jigsaw. Now it doesn't look near as good as the Dollar Tree one does. If they had had two at my Dollar Tree, I would have grabbed 2 or 3 maybe. I don't know. because they were like the perfect size, and they're nicely cut, and yeah, but they only had one, so I had to figure out just cutting a circle is not perfect. It's a little jagged, but in the end, you can't really even tell which one has the Dollar Tree base and which one has the one that I did with the jigsaw. So once again, getting our stencils applied, I just used a couple of cute fonts. I didn't pull these designs from anywhere. I just used text and typed out some kind of witchy phrases, I guess. And I'm gonna put these on their hats, and then we're gonna get them decorated up. And y'all don't mind my head. It continues to get in there with my ponytail hair. So, one, I believe, what do we put? Let's fly, or tonight we fly. That's what I did. Because that is just so perfect for a witch, and I do think it's part of the Hocus Pocus movie as well. So, we're doing these in white, just giving them a quick little stencil job. Not wanting to put too much paint on there. The lettering is fairly small. And you'll see I do kind of over stencil right there. And I get it onto the hat where I didn't want it, but that's okay because it's just black paint. Really easy to touch up, right? These do get sealed and sanded. I don't know if I mentioned that prior, but I do everything kind of in a process. I get everything painted. If something needs a second coat, I do all the second coats. I do all the stencils in between, just letting things dry. I move on. And then eventually I take everything outside and get all of it sanded. Sanding, number one, I like the look of it. Number two, it helps, particularly when I'm cutting the wood, it kind of helps with any jagged edge, or in this case I was cutting something round, so it helps kind of smooth that out a bit. So I do a lot of that. In the winter that will probably change because I won't want to be outside for a half an hour sanding a bunch of things. It gets very cold here, so we will see. I also don't like to cut wood when it's cold. My hands don't work as well, so we may be doing a less scrap wood DIYs come Christmas or winter. Hopefully I can get some stuff pre-cut. You know what? If I had my life together, I would do that. That would be amazing and very, very smart of me to plan ahead. However, that is not my life. That is not my brain. I wish it was. Okay, these are done. Now I am going to, I think, did I tell you the second one says it's October Witches? I'm sure you can see that now. I'm using, it's the wood glue super glue from the Dollar Tree. It's actually a really decent, good holding glue, although I wasn't sure if it would hold these because they are slightly top heavy. I mean, not really, because I did make the base big enough to support them, but I just wasn't sure. But either way, we do get them glued on. I was going to kind of wait and see if they could just do with the plain glue, or if I was going to need to put a screw up underneath through the base, but I was worried that that might split the wood. So I'm trying to avoid having to do that. So far, so good. Not that they're getting played with a lot or anything, but they have been put in a tote, and I'm taking them over to the little booth to put them up for sale. but these now are still hanging in there with just the glue. So I think I'm going to leave the screws out of it. Now for the fun part. We got to get these babies decorated. I'm using pretty much everything that came, well, it's ribbon. All ribbon, I believe, came from the Dollar Tree. Maybe one from Hobby Lobby. This was a scrap of that mesh ribbon. It's got like kind of the spider webs, the sheer, and I had used it last year on the porch or something that I actually did mix it with fake spider webs, but I left it. I thought that was kind of a nice, I don't know, just a fun little touch. They are witches after all. And then I'm just adding some purple sheer ribbon into this, and I mean there's not a whole lot of rhyme nor reason how I'm doing this. This glittery ribbon, I want to say, is the one that probably came from Hobby Lobby. I don't think that one was the Dollar Tree, but I am just going to make a couple of cute little bows for her hat. And then I found in our like Halloween tote that we pulled out because we're going to start decorating the porch and the family room, I found some of those plastic spider rings. So I'm going to use one of, well, a purple one on this one and then an orange one on the other one. I just cut off the actual like ring piece and I glued it on there. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Well, probably not, but one of them. We're going to do the same thing with this one. We're just using the orange mesh and the black mesh. We're just going to tie ourselves a little bow, kind of fluff it up, floof it up. Our witches like to be beautiful. Can't even see what I'm doing. This is just amazing display work here. But I'm just kind of trimming it down at this point. It was a little long on the ends, and I don't add a whole lot to this other than our ring. It was just kind of a less is more for this one. I thought it was just as cute. You didn't need to add a whole lot to it. And yeah, voila. Look how cute these are. I could have made a dozen of those. They were so fun. Alright, this is a project I had started before. I don't think I filmed it or whatever, but it was just a 1x4. I already had part of it painted white. This is going to turn into a scarecrow. Now, I already made one of these similar to it, but it was like mini, because I made it for a tiered tray. And I will link that video below. It was a little bit different, and of course it was much, much smaller. So this one, I painted it in, it's actually an off-white. It's, I think, linen from Rust-Oleum. I'm not sure, I don't have it sitting in front of me. But it was not a stark white. And then I stained the top of it for his hat. And then I stained the brim as well. It's not quite stained there, but I did stain it. And then I cut a little scarecrow face. And I had mentioned this prior in the tier tray video when I made the little mini one. It'd probably be pretty easy just to draw yourself a scarecrow face. But I am not as simple, and like a kindergartner could draw a better scarecrow face than me, most likely. So, and since I was already cutting a bunch of stencil or decals out anyways and doing a bunch of weeding, it was all the same to me. And this one's cute. So, I forgot that little piece of his nose, so I just plucked that off and put it on there. We are going to paint his nose orange using the Waverly Pumpkin color chalk paint. And his smile and his eyes are going to get a good coat of black chalk paint. I believe it is in a full cart. It is the black paint that I have been using for quite some time right now. Pulling off our vinyl, again, being careful not to smudge anything. This paint is still wet, we don't want to ruin. But you'll see here in a second, the way I tore that vinyl off, it actually stripped a piece of that wood off, and right next to his nose. And granted, this wood is not like top-notch quality, so, but I think it was also just the angle that I was pulling the stencil off, and it was jagged, maybe from needing to be sanded again, I don't know. But either way, not really that big of a deal. I'm just taking some raffia pieces, just kind of stringing them up there, giving our little guy a shaggy haircut. And I'm trying to be mindful that I need to attach with glue his hat brim. So I'm trying not to make it super bulky and that hat brim won't lay flat. I do use a little bit of hot glue and this Sherbon thick super glue to attach that brim, as I don't want that popping off accidentally. And with that a little bit extra bulk there, I did have to just be careful. And then I decide, because you can kind of see the line of the stain versus the white, and so I grabbed, plus, you know, I thought I did it on my little one too, and it just looks cute on my little mini Scarecrow guy. So I am going to trim this out with some really thin jute, twine, string, whatever you want to call it. I'm going underneath the brim, and then I'm crossing over and going over the brim. So it looks nice in the back, and it also looks nice in the front. And it does make it look a bit nicer where those two things meet. And then we gotta doll this guy up. I don't know, even scarecrows, they like a bit of style. These flowers came from Walmart. They are a little too big probably for him, maybe over the top even. But I thought it was fun and I liked it. On my little mini Scarecrow, I used some paper flowers, but they were too small for this guy. I just pulled off kind of the top of that flower and one of the leaves, and I'm just gonna hot glue this there and get it how I want it, and that's all you gotta do. This guy is done, and look how cute he is. Oh, I love him. They are so fun. Okay, this is our last project. Not even a full complete project, because I'm not even going to show you how I painted them. Again, this is a bit of a repeat. I did make some mini candy corns for my tier tray, but I decided to add an extra little element to them all. And here I was just kind of playing around to see if I wanted to make any of them a set or if I just wanted to keep them all separate. But what I did was I pulled out some cardstock in this craft paper, and I'm not really even measuring. I'd say they're maybe an inch wide, maybe 1 by 3. I don't even know. I didn't measure. I just had a scrap of it. And then I'm using this thicker twine or rope and wrapping it around and just tying it into a knot. I didn't even make a bow. I just kept it like super simple. And I just knotted it up. And then what we're doing with the cardstock is we are going to make just some cute little tags. And I have these clickable stamps. They came from Michael's, and they're pretty fun. I got a set, well, I got the uppercase set and the lowercase set. And they do have multiples of some letters, but where I was spelling out trick or treat, I needed even more. So I do have to share one of the T's and one of the R's. So you'll see me kind of switching back and forth. Or you could have done it different and just stamped trick 3, 4, 5 times on each tag and then treat. But I was just doing one tag at a time. But they are clickable, so that's what makes them so simple. And I wish they had these in numbers. If any of y'all use these and you do know if they have a number set, let me know. Because I looked, I didn't see any. They may not exist, I don't know. I'm not even being careful to make this perfectly straight. Had I wanted it super straight, I would have done that. I would have made sure it was straight. And then I am using a hole punch just to make a little hole. This hole punch was too small. I couldn't find my regular size hole punch, but I used the end of this paintbrush to kind of widen that hole. And that worked just fine, no big deal. And then I'm gonna cut along the bottom of this tag, just some kind of slits in the paper, almost making it like a fringe. I don't know. And then I'm kind of separating them, curling them. I don't know, I was just playing around, but I thought it looked really cute, particularly for these little candy corns. And then I just use my ink pad and I'm darkening up those edges, just going around the edge and darkening them up with that black ink. And then we tie on our tag, give it a couple of knots to make sure it stays. This is thick cardstock, so it should be pretty durable. Hopefully it doesn't tear, but also easy to replace if it does. And those are the cutest. And how easy. So simple. And I will again link the previous video if you need to see how I painted them, but they're pretty self-explanatory, right? And there they are. That's my sets. And those tags make all the difference to me. Okay, here's what we did in all grouped together. I think that everything is just fun and I had a great time making it all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you for spending your time with me. I sure do appreciate it. Again, don't forget to check out the playlist, What Would You Make? And thank you once again to the ladies that hosted. And most of all, thank you to all of you for hanging out with me and letting me craft with you. Y'all have a great week and stay safe.